Well, moving on to the next match, unfortunately, Miles, that's going to have to be United's win over Aston Villa. As we talk about Champions League qualification, it could have been a lot different, I think, if Villa had just taken their chances, but United took theirs, and that was the difference in the end, wasn't it? Because I don't think any United fan came away from that feeling completely convinced by the performance, especially.
It was very tense, very stressful. I think there were similarities between the two teams, especially in the attacking thirds.
And that kind of brings the point about how the midfield was so anonymous for United, but also so effective for Villa, Miles. I think that's where they really took a stranglehold on the game, especially after United scored and suffocated that midfield area. I always thought they'd do really well playing between the lines. United's lines were like chasms at times, and Villa really exploited that quite well, really, didn't they?
You're talking like Villa won the game.
It feels like it in some ways.
You set me up for that question by going United were terrible, but Villa were good, weren't they? Well, you've just won 2-1, so I appreciate you being gracious about it. Dave says he didn't enjoy watching that game. Imagine being a Villa fan knowing that you're about to record a podcast with two Man United fans 10 minutes after the game finished.
Hence me being gracious, man. You know, I'm trying my best there. You know, devil's advocate and all that.
I appreciate it. No, do you know what? There were some positives for Villa in the game, definitely. But ultimately, it's another 3 points dropped against Man United. Realistically, we should have 6 points against United this season. And then at that point, we'd be 14 points clear of them. And we've got the top 5 sewn up. And instead, now we've let the gap be 5 points. And that's scary. And that kind of naivety could cost us at the end of the season. The midfield was strong, definitely. The second half, it was really strong. And Dave says about how well Dalot played. In the second half, he was definitely United's best defender. He was absolutely excellent. In the first half, I thought he had a torrid time because he kept getting stuck between Moreno and Ramsey, and it meant that there was always space for one of them, and he didn't get enough support from United's midfield. And that was really telling. And then I think had Luke Shaw not come off, Villa would have kept attacking down that side, but instead they wanted to exploit Victor Lindelof with Bailey's pace, and it worked really, really well. And then they took Bailey off. Now, you know me, in Unai we trust, but there are a couple of things that I looked at this game and thought, I'm not sure he got that one right. I think if Torres is fit enough to be on the bench, he's fit enough to start. Because if Longley goes off injured 2 minutes in, you've got to play Torres. So I'd play him anyway, because there were so many times where Villa were trying to play the ball out and they're just missing Torres' ability. Yeah. His ability to play a ball into the final third is massive, and we've missed that for the last 3 games now. Massive. Like, it really, really showed. 3 games at home, at least. That worried me. His reluctance to keep Bailey and Diaby on the pitch at the same time baffles me. And he always brings Zaniolo on too late. There was a period where United were on the ropes, and if we kept pressing them the way that we were, it would have worked. Onana was under so much pressure on the ball at times from Watkins, and then they sat off him. They took Bailey off, and they waited to the 88th minute when they were 2-1 down to bring Zaniolo on, who would press. So I am frustrated. I'll be honest, I'm really, really frustrated by that result.
I love the contrast between sheer frustration and absolute relief from all of us. It was such an odd game, wasn't it? And I know we kind of were all bemoaning how crap the ref was as well, because there was some really weird, inexplicable yellow cards dished out and a lot of diving going on from both sides that wasn't really treated in the same way. So yeah, it was a weird, inconsistent, niggly game. There's still that cushion between Villa and United, which I can't see closing anytime soon, to be fair. But I guess the question for you is, do you think 5th would be an acceptable way to finish the season? Or are you, having tasted the top 4 now, are you thinking that has to be the aim?
I think it still has to be the aim, but I don't think any Villa fan can say that finishing 5th in the Premier League would be a bad season in any stretch of the imagination. It'd be fantastic. I want us into the top 4 just to get that certainty, because there's still a chance that wouldn't be enough for Champions League in 5th. But it all depends on whether we can actually get a fit squad at some point, because today looked better. The options we had on the bench looked stronger. But let's remember, when we started this game without any of our first choice backline, realistically, we're going to play Luca Dean, Pau Torres, Mings, and Konsa across the back. We couldn't field any of them. And that has massively hindered us over the last few weeks. And that could be the difference between us getting into the top 4. Missing Duran means we've got no options to change Watkins if he's not having a great game. We are thin on the ground at the moment, and I worry that might let other teams catch up. But then saying that, Dave's right. United have just been hit with a string of injuries. So I don't know. I've been frustrated. Obviously, I went to the FA Cup game as well, and it was the same problems. where we were just really struggling to create things out the back. We're trying to play the ball out slowly from the back again, but Longley, Carlos's last ball just is nowhere near as strong. We're relying massively on Moreno getting down the touchline, but that's really problematic at times. And United dealt with him a lot better than I thought they were going to in the second half, because the first half looked like he had space. So we've just got to work out how we unpick the locks sometimes, because we've got the players to do it. Like Douglas Luiz and Tielemans in the middle are so creative that if we want to get top four, we need them at their best. And we saw spells of that in this game, but only short spells. There was a 15-minute period where we were battering United, and then they just stopped. And you can't afford to do that in a top four race, because they did that in the away fixture and gave away a massive lead. And they did it in this game and failed to capitalise on a chance to win this. And that does make me nervous a little bit.